What's up everybody, my name is Spectre and this is part 2 of my top 20 favorite Pokemon list to celebrate reaching 200 subscribers. If you're watching this and haven't seen part 1, might I suggest clicking this annotation right here or following the link in the description to go see the first 10 on the list. For anyone that has seen part 1, welcome back to my top 20 favorite Pokemon list. Just like last time, I'll quickly name off the honorable mentions with a few quick points about why I like them. But first, I forgot to change my hair color in the last video to match my hair in real life. So, poorly green screened magic wand, do your thing. Ah, much better. Okay, let's do this. Scrafty, because where the hood at? Reuniqueless, because Psycho Fetus. Oshawott, haven't quite nailed down what my spirit animal is, but it's a toss up between an otter and pizza, and since we don't have a pizza Pokemon, Oshawott will just have to do. Zoroark, because illusion, and I bred 337 eggs to get a shiny Zorua, because aww. Dedenne? I'm not sure. Because he's adorable, and he pisses off Gen 1ers and people who overall just overhype Pikachu more than he's ever actually deserved. Pikachu really isn't that cool, guys, just saying. Now that we have that out of the way, it's time for
the top 10 Pokemon.
Okay, so maybe the list isn't that epic, but it's still pretty cool. Pardon me while I take a trip in my time machine back to 2008 and say, so, I heard you like Mudkips. And if you heard that I like them too, you'd be right, and that's why number 10 is Swampert. My first time playing through Pokemon Ruby, I picked Torchic, and that posed quite a few problems. Between Roxanne's Nose Pass rock-tombing me back to the Pokemon Center, Winona's Altaria earthquaking and aerial acing my team to pieces, and Tate and Liza's Solrock and Lunatone sending an onslaught of psychic attacks my way, playing through the game with Blaziken on the team was almost more work than it was worth, at least for a 10-year-old. So when it came time to play through it again, I picked Mudkip, and together we wrecked the Hoenn League. Roxanne, Water Gun. Brawly, no problem. Watson, Mudshot. Flannery, do I even have to say it? Norman? Okay, let's face it, that slacking is overpowered, and we all had problems with it at some point. Winona, Rock Tomb. Tate and Liza, Surf. Wallace? Well, by that point I had a Shiftry, so I just used him. But Swampert was there for moral support. I took Swampert through Victory Road and into the Elite Four, where he fought alongside Shiftry, Hariyama, Raichu, Gardevoir, and Camerupt. And once Steven had been challenged and defeated, I started over with Trico, because that's called being fair. But Swampert still holds his spot at number 10. January 8, 2013. I'm on my break at my dishwashing job when I get the news. Generation 6 was on its way. And in that first trailer, I laid my eyes on what I now consider to be my favorite starter, Chespin. Number 9 is Chesnaught. But why is the new guy higher on the list than 3 starters with long-standing histories? Simple. Anticipation. From January 8th, 2013 until the game's release on October 12th, 2013, Cerebi.net was my first stop of the day, even before getting up to pee. Never before did I follow a game so closely. Some argued that this ruins the excitement of a new game, and that argument is wrong. I was Team Chespin and proud. While everyone else sat around making fun of Quilladin's design when it got leaked, I was contemplating what beast of a Pokemon was going to come about from such a bulky predecessor. Now I'll admit, the first leak of Chesnaught's design had me a bit worried. When the official art released, all of that changed, and I was back to loving this Pokemon before I even knew what it could do. When I picked up my copy of Y, Sheldon and I immediately started our journey through the new and exciting region of Kalos, and the experience was, dare I say it, better than any experience I'd ever had with a starter, and that's why Chesnaught is number 9. I told you guys in part 1 that I was never particularly fond of dragon types, but if ever there was a dragon that I sought after, it was Flygon. It wasn't until my third run-through of Ruby that my friend told me that Flygon came from that annoying ant Pokemon Trapinch from the desert on Route 111. Once again, this was back in the day when the internet hadn't reached the point that it's at today, so when it came to Pokemon, we took guesses and rolled with it, and for some reason, I'd guessed that Flygon came from somewhere else and that I just missed it in my first 2 playthroughs. So, when I got the Go Goggles, the first thing that I did was catch a Trapinch. Simply put, it was hard to train. I didn't know about switching out Pokemon to help them gain experience when I was 10, so Trapinch fainted quite a lot before he became a Vibrava, but once he did, I knew Flygon was just around the corner. He evolved in the magma base outside of Lilyho City, and since then he's been one of my favorite dragons. Sometimes, a Pokemon doesn't need a backstory to be one of your favorites. It just has to be adorable. Number 7 is Whimsicott. This cute little puffball had me by the finger the first time I saw it. What really do I need to say? He looks like a gingerbread man ready to attend a late night disco. He looks like Sackboy from Little Big Planet getting a passionate behind the back over the shoulder hug from a cloud. And that, my friends, is worthy. Even though he's cute, he's an absolute nightmare in competitive battle. Throw a bold nature on him and teach him Substitute, Leech Seed, Stun Spore, and Encore, and the only way you're taking this thing down is with Taunt or the Infiltrator ability. I've seen Subseed Whimsicott take out entire teams with their life-leeching antics, but competitive aside, he's still one of the cutest Pokemon I've ever seen, and that's why he's number 7. I couldn't think of a fancy introduction for this next Pokemon, so here's a naked sheep with lightning and a wig on. I don't know what Ampharos is, but I like him. I've used him at least once in every new generation of games, and he's always served me well. Seriously though, what's with this thing? Mareep is a sheep, Flaffy is a sheared sheep that figured out how to walk like a people, so does that make Ampharos a two-legged naked sheep? But when he Mega Evolves, he becomes a dragon. Was he a dragon the whole time? I don't know. Whatever he is, he's cute, and he's useful in battle, and that's why he's number 6. I'm sure that somewhere within the multiverse, there's a universe where we've all been turned into Pokemon based on our overall demeanor. Meet Antonio Banderas. I never used Roserade until my second playthrough of Y. My first playthrough was to test out new Pokemon and Mega Blastoise. So, on my second go around, I decided that I'd catch a mix of Pokemon from different generations. Then, on Route 4, there he was. I never realized how freaking adorable Budew was until I saw him in X and Y's graphics. I immediately caught him and named him Antonio. He quickly became the biggest asset on my team, Venishocking everything into oblivion, and I took him through the Elite Four and to the Champion. I even transferred him to my new save file on Y via the Pokebank because I just couldn't part with him. Oh, and did I mention that Budew was adorable? Because he freaking is. Alright guys, let's take a moment to memorize what a dragon is. Dragon, 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 not a dragon, dragon. Number 4 is Goodra. Nothing pleases me more than a Pokemon design that pisses off Gen 1ers. All of the inanimate object Pokemon besides the Gears and Klefki fall into my top 50 at least, purely because I love designs that make stupid Gen 1ers say, oh my god, they must really be running out of ideas. But of all the Pokemon that make them say that, Goodra and its evolutionary line take the cake for me. What? That's not a dragon? Charizard is a dragon. Nope, still not a dragon, but this slug is definitely a dragon. Gen 1er disdain aside, I personally think that Goodra's design was a cool new direction to take with a dragon type. Sharp teeth, wings, and spikes were getting a little old. Also, Goodra is a monster in competitive battle. Having the highest special defense stat of any dragon type and a pretty good special attack stat to back it up makes Goodra an absolute tank. And with Sap Sipper, Hydration, and Gooey as its possible abilities, as well as a good selection of moves to use, this thing can be used from many angles. I personally like the Hydration paired with Rain Dance and Rest stall set. That combo has made people straight up forfeit battles rather than wasting time trying to take it down. Overall, Goodra is just plain awesome, and that's why he's number 4. Guess what my favorite holiday is? I'll give you a hint. It involves children walking around and collecting treats. There's also dressing up, and your uncle's probably really drunk. Then again, that happens at every family gathering, doesn't it? It's Easter, and number 3 is Execute. No, I lied. My favorite holiday is Halloween, and number 3 is Gourgeist. I don't care if it makes me less manly, I do prefer cute pumpkin Pokemon over badass tree Pokemon. Gourgeist is my favorite ghost grass Pokemon, and I'll scream it from the rooftops if I have to. Anyway, Pumpkaboo is yet another Pokemon that caught my attention during the leaks for X and Y, but I didn't realize how freaking cute it was until I played the game. Now, I'll be honest, Gourgeist's design was a little off-putting for me, and I was a little disappointed. But that changed when I took a gander at its shiny form. Purple, my favorite color, and it made it look so much cooler. So, I immediately set off to find a shiny Pumpkaboo, and then I remembered that finding a shiny in the wild is way too hard to do. So, I played the game a little more, caught Yveltal, and traded it on the GTS for a Japanese Ditto named something. Then I set off breeding. One by one, I was filling up boxes. Then, on egg number 100, there he was. Shiny Pumpkaboo. I was in ecstasy. It was so cute and perfect. Not in terms of stats, but the fact that it was mine and that I could say I did this. My first shiny Pokemon ever, and I bred it myself. I quickly traded it to my friend to watch it evolve, and I finally had my shiny Gourgeist. Then I traded it back to my friend for safekeeping while I started my game over, and I never got around to trading him back. But hey, at least he's safe, right? I bet you weren't expecting Feels to be a part of this video. Well, you expected wrong. Enter Derp. I used to have my own apartment across the hall from my buddy Andrew from the last video. I couldn't have pets, but I was single, so I said fuck it and looked for a dog. My roommate at the time had a relative that bred dogs, and it just so happens that they had a dog that they were willing to give away. The dog was born with limited mobility in his back legs, and they were going to put him down because they couldn't sell him. So I took him off their hands. He was a cute little ball of fluff that could only really walk around by scooting like a seal because of his messed up legs. So my friends and I decided to name him Forrest. However, that didn't stick because we always just called him the Derpy dog, and his name quickly just became Derp. Sadly, my landlord was becoming suspicious and was stopping by more and more often, so I had to send Derp to live with my friend for a while. In July of 2013, I moved in with my grandparents while I was dealing with some personal issues, and Derp came back to live with me. I was so happy that I had my dog back. Jump forward to November, and I was staying at a friend's house after a long night of Minecraft. I get a call from my mom at 8:30 in the morning. Derp had been hit by a car. He'd gotten out of the fence and somebody had hit him. They didn't even stop, they just left him. I was devastated. Even talking about it now, I'm getting kinda choked up. But what does any of that have to do with Pokemon? Well, there's always one Pokemon that reminds me of Derp, and that's Swirlix. Number 2 is Slurpuff. All feels aside, the sheer derpiness of Swirlix paired with his white fluffiness and the tongue sticking out has always reminded me of Derp. Slurpuff takes a detour from the whole dog design, but it's still adorable and derpy. Plus, have you ever had the displeasure of facing an unburdened Slurpuff with Belly Drum and Play Rough? Talk about a nightmare. If I didn't already name my Slurpuffs Derp, I would name them Janitor Jesus, because holy sweep. Not only that, but it looks like a little fat kid eating treats all the time, and I can totally vibe with that. I'm gonna go grab a cookie. Oh wow, that's good. This cookie's good. Oh yeah, number 1. That's right, number 1 is Barbaracle. I love this thing. I can't do this joke anymore. I hate this thing so much, but I wanted to keep you guys on your toes since you already know that my favorite Pokemon is... I had you fooled though, didn't I? You all saw this coming. He's plastered all over my banners and icons. He's even my logo for crying out loud. Chandelure has been my favorite Pokemon since I even knew what he was. Gen 5 was one generation that I actively went into completely blind. I didn't keep up with anything but the starters and the legendaries. When I picked up my first copy of White, I picked Oshawott, but when I got to Celestial Tower and laid eyes on my first Litwick, I was smitten. I started using him more often than any of my other Pokemon, and when he finally evolved at level 41 into a Lampent, I knew good things were on the way. Never could I have anticipated the near godliness that would ensue when I exposed him to a Duskstone. I evolved him at level 61 and I was awestruck. That sleek, spooky design straight out of a Tim Burton movie, that cool purple flame, those piercing yellow eyes, that long echoing call, he was perfect. I took him to the Name Raider and I named him Lumiere. Since then, I've run a Chandelure on every team I build. Mono Ghost? There. UU tier? There. The only thing I've yet to do with him is a solo run, but who knows, maybe I might do that in the future. No matter how you slice it or what angle you approach it from, Chandelure is and will always be my number 1 favorite Pokemon. Guys, if you enjoyed this top 20, be sure to leave a like. It's super helpful and it lets me know that I'm doing a good job. Leave a comment telling me about your favorite Pokemon. If you haven't already, subscribe. There is a ton of Pokemon goodness coming in the near future, and I know you're going to want to be around for that. Also, I'm sorry this video is out a little later than I'd hoped, but some complications came up and I spent a lot of time editing this. You guys deserve awesome content for being so awesome, and sometimes that takes time. Again guys, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay bueno.